Perth Heat becomes the first pro baseball club to accept Bitcoin payments and send Bitcoin payouts to players and staff using the Lightning Network. The only problem is the Perth Heat play in Australia. It's not even an American team. Martine Wismar, what do you think about this Australian baseball team accepting Bitcoin and using Lightning, which I think is a fantastic change? And I like to see that in the headline of the article. Great stuff.
I don't think anybody living in Perth has ever heard of this team. I don't think Perth Heat is such a big thing in Perth. And it's like, in Amsterdam, they have a baseball team. I don't even know the name. It's like not a big thing there. I think they play cricket or something. What do they play in Australia? We should have asked Josh. He's not on the show tonight, but he would have known. He would have definitely known the answer. So it's good that they accept Bitcoin and all, and that they're giving up Bitcoin. It's all great, but it's not the all-star leagues as they do have in the US. So yeah, it's like next subject, please.
I'm being told the Amsterdam team is the Amsterdam Stoners. The Amsterdam Stoners.
No, that's just you, Thomas. No, they have a name, but I don't know what the name is.
He can't remember. He's having memory problems. Uh-oh. Dan, Eve, your thoughts about the amazing Australian baseball team, the Perth Heat. Go Perthers.
Well, I think it's pretty impressive. They're jumping in like head first, right? They're doing the salaries in Bitcoin. They're going to be accepting tickets, accepting advertising, sponsorship. They're pretty much going all in. And obviously the coolest thing is that they're using Lightning, I think via OpenNode. Maybe they should run their own node. That should have been better. In fact, what would have been cool is if Perth said, we're actually setting up an LN Bits wallet. That would be really cool. But ultimately, I like some of the quotes that have come out of the team. You'd expect some senior economist to be saying this rather than a baseball team. But I mean, listen to this. Like, this is for this is how far they are down the rabbit hole. We firmly believe that the mindset, I should do it in Australia. We firmly believe that the mindset that Bitcoin imparts on network participants will be felt by our players, coaches, staff, and our local fan base. And we look forward to setting the bar of how much value a sport. Oh wait, that's what the CEO said. Wait, wrong quote. This is the one I like. Sorry. The Perth Heat are committed to operating according to the Bitcoin standard, and in doing so, are shifting the corporate treasury from dollars to Bitcoin. The club has already established an initial position in BTC to help us secure its digital property rights on the world's most secure monetary network, and will continue to reinvest in all available capital into Bitcoin. Now that is head first, right? You'd expect that to be not from a baseball team, right? But that is absolutely incredible. Like, they are going deep down the rabbit hole, and fair play. So even though they may not be the biggest of organizations, I think it sets, at the end of the day, it sets an example. And people who are into Perth, baseball, this is how the virus spreads, right? They hear this. They've actually got a chief Bitcoin officer. That's amazing. Perth Heat Chief Bitcoin Officer Patrick O'Sullivan. So what a legend Patrick O'Sullivan is, spreading the seed of Bitcoin. I think it's fantastic, yeah. But I think next step is to an OpenNode a call and everything, but set up your own LM Bits, and then you're really smashing it.
Excellent accent, Dan. Moving on to the exit question. Mark Cuban has flirted with Bitcoin, accepting Dogecoin for his Dallas Mavericks. But what major sports team will follow the Perth Heat? Who will accept Bitcoin next? Will it be an entire league, a team? Maybe some of the players I know in the US have asked for their salaries in Bitcoin. Started off with percentages, some of them going all in. I'll take all my money in Bitcoin. Martine Wismar, what sports team will be next?
I don't know. I don't know the name, but I think it will be individual players. It's just a sign of the times. I think, people, sorry, it's a bit quiet probably. People make a lot of money, in this, athletes make a lot of money, more than they actually need. So there's no sense in keeping it in the bank account somewhere because they'll be paying interest instead of receiving it. So putting some of it, or all of it in crypto, especially Bitcoin, is actually makes sense. So I think it will be in more and more individual players, and those individual players will create interest within the team, and then more and more people in the team will want to be paid in Bitcoin. And I think many will just receive their dollars or the euros or whatever fiat currency and then convert it themselves. So I don't know a specific team. It's for me, that's too hard. I know several Dutch soccer teams. They started, like, dabbling in crypto. One created their own shitcoin, which was like a bit of a mistake, but I think it's all a learning process. What team? I don't know. I'll leave it to you.
What I like about this is it takes a lot of the complexity out of being a rich sports player. At first, you have to hire a money manager and he runs off with your money. And then you go through Goldman Sachs or whatever, and they invest in a crappy stock and it goes down. Or you go with traditional, you buy bonds, you keep it in a savings account. I don't know what you're supposed to do, but there's all these hassles and hazards when it comes to being a player. And you just want to focus on football or baseball or whatever your sport is. You don't really care about money management. Now, if you choose Bitcoin, there's a good chance that you'll make a nice return. You'll be protected against inflation. If you set it up properly, it won't be stolen from you, even by your money manager. If you really set it up properly and put the receipt or whatever in your safe, not his safe, your safe. But the problem is Bitcoin being compared to all these other altcoins as if they were interchangeable. So you'll have a player out there who will bet his life savings on Solana or Dogecoin or Mintcoin or Vertcoin or Peercoin or WorldCoin. And he'll have the same feeling that the other guys do about Bitcoin. He'll be like, everything is fine. I'm in WorldCoin. I'm in Aurora Coin. Everything will be sweet. And it's not always the same. So I do fear if they choose door number one, they're fine. But if they choose any of the other doors, it's the wild, wild west. It could go well. It could go terribly. Dan, Eve, what football team will be next?
Well, so it just so happens that my local club, Southampton FC, the Saints, they're sponsored by Sportsbet.io. And Sportsbet now also sponsor, I think, Watford and Arsenal. So I think we might see a bit more of a proliferation of Bitcoin sponsoring of Premier Football leagues and in the Series A and other sort of European leagues. I think that's going to come through. I think Martin made a really good point about the individuals. The players have they make so much money. It's like hundreds of thousands a week, and having just that much cash. I mean, you can buy loads of shit with stuff with it, but why not buy even if just a fraction of Bitcoin? And that's these sports players, once these footballers end up buying just a little bit of Bitcoin and they see their 10 grand of Bitcoin go to 50 grand of Bitcoin, and they start telling all the other sports players, that's how it spreads. And it's obviously not all about money, because just look at the Perth baseball team who are like literally knees deep, neck deep in down the rabbit hole at the moment, trying to squeeze themselves down even further on the Bitcoin standard as well. So I think football's probably a good candidate, and it's also where a lot of big money is. So, and I think that we're going to see probably a lot more crypto sponsors, and preferably Bitcoin based sponsors, but probably a lot of crypto based sponsors, seeding out into the football leagues, I think.
It's funny that we're here talking about football teams versus other football teams. And originally we'd predicted that with the banks, several banks would start accepting it and the rest would go like dominoes. Now I think we need to extend that prediction to the football teams. If one of the team takes it, the other teams will be nervous and they'll get interested. But also we want to put a little Hillary Clinton in here and warn you, if you pay the players in Bitcoin and they make too much money, they might not even want to play. American football, for instance, is very dangerous, causes concussions, permanent brain damage. Many of the players can't even play with their children when they get old because their knees are shot. So if you pay them and they make too much money on Bitcoin, they might quit before their time. So maybe it's too good for them. We need to protect them from this so that they have longer careers. I think that's what Hillary would say.